Fam, what's going on? Good morning to everybody on Bama Football on YouTube. Kyle Henderson here. Today is Monday, January 20th. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You got the presidential inauguration. You got Notre Dame taking on Ohio State. We're going to talk about the way too early top 25, which was presented by On3. Hit on Alabama basketball coming off a big victory over Kentucky. We're going to talk about Alabama in the NFL, right? I'm sure you watched some of the NFL games that took place this weekend. Still can't believe that the Bills were able to stuff up Derrick Henry, but you got to feed him more than 16 times. And then the back end of the show, we'll talk about just Kalen DeBoer in general, and if you think that he has the right stuff, as Coach Saban used to say. I appreciate you guys being here, as I always say. Will you please let me know where you're watching from and the temperature that coincides with your location? For me, in Tuscaloosa this morning, it is a balmy 25 degrees. All right. So the workout crew, they got the job in today. We have an annual Martin Luther King run. I don't know. From what I've heard, and it's always tough for me. I'm real big into heart health, and under 32 degrees, it's not the cold that bothers me. But, when it gets there, I don't know. But the guys definitely got the work in today. So credit to my F3 brothers for putting in the work. I'll catch them later on this week. Plus, I'm still kind of nursing a back or whatever. I'm battling the 40s. If you're, once I turn 40, it's like my foot started hurt, my back, whatever. It's all good. But I appreciate you guys being here today on the show. Look, as you know, today is, a historic day. All right. Every single year on this day, you have Martin Luther King, and then you also have the presidential inauguration. I think the inauguration starts at 12 p.m. So literally, or 11 a.m. Central Time. I think literally right. I'll be watching. As I mentioned, I'm not the biggest political type of person, but I did work on Capitol Hill at one point during my early career, and I lived in DC. I lived in Virginia. So, anytime you have a switchover, I'm interested in it. And so we'll hit on a couple different points, and then we'll hit on Notre Dame and Ohio State. Will you please let me know inside the comment box, who do you think wins this game? Is there anybody that thinks that Notre Dame is able to upset Ohio State? I've been asking that for a couple of days. It's amazing that we're still covering college football at this point in time. We see Manchester, Tennessee is 12 degrees right now. Chinchula, Alabama is the Johns coming in at 32 degrees. All right. So just at freezing. 27 in Charlotte. Chattanooga, Patriot Life, what's up? He has 17 degrees. And T has just joined us. T.
Good morning, everyone. It is cold here too.
I was just saying it's 25 here in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, it's a bit nippy.
All right. How you feeling, T?
I'm good.
Big day today.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of stuff going on, right?
Inauguration, the championship game.
Yeah. So we'll talk all about that. Yeah, and everybody's off. It's a federal holiday. We're not off, but we're not, federal, but we come on every single day. So this will be our morning show going into the week. Look, there's a couple things that I want to start off on. First of all, did you know that if you've lived in Tuscaloosa or if you visited the first African Baptist church, do you know where this is, T? It's in the downtown area. So last year I learned that Martin Luther King gave a speech there in 1964, which is pretty amazing to think. And then also, if you've ever been, I don't know if you've gone to the federal courthouse here for whatever, but if you go there, on the second floor, they have the most beautiful art that you've ever seen. Honestly, I love oil paintings. And on the second floor, you have different paintings. So you have Vivian Malone Jones, who was the first Black graduate from the University of Alabama. And there's these oil paintings that you've seen. Other news, did you see this, T? So you have Trump, obviously, being the inauguration is taking place today.
Yes.
The first thing was TikTok. Right. Yeah. So an extension of TikTok. TikTok was down for what? I don't know.
12 hours, maybe?
12 hours, something like that.
Maybe.
But did you see that his first executive order will be to rename the Gulf of Mexico? I'm dead serious. This is real. This will be the Gulf of America.
And how do you do that? What is the process?
You just rename it.
We just start calling it that?
Well, I didn't do all the research before this, but how did it get named the Gulf of Mexico to begin with?
Yeah, good question.
I don't know. So it will now be the Gulf of America. Doesn't matter. I don't know. I love favorite spot in the Gulf, T.
Well, 30A.
Right.
That
I mean,
area,
if you're in this area, I had never been to 30A or that stretch. I'd never really been outside of Florida. I'd never really been to the Gulf before. But we're coming down to Alabama now, living here, like Gulf Shores, and if you continue just to go east, it's incredible, right? I mean, I love going to that area, and I mean, Rosemary, Watercolor, name some more, T.
Seaside, Water Sound. Yeah, it's just blowing up. There's a new community every time I go down there.
But the thing is, the way that spring break hits for the kids here, it's still a little bit cold down there.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be warm like the week before, and then the temperatures drop one more time during spring break, and then it warms up like the week we leave.
All right. So the other thing was TikTok. I'm not too worried about that, but what I am kind of worried and interested in is, and you can't see it because I'm over the graphic, but to this side of me, the eggs. There's
an egg shortage.
so I was reading on this. So the egg shortage is because that most people use more eggs during like the holiday season. But do you have eggs where you're at? We don't have any eggs. I went to the grocery store yesterday. I know T did too. There's no eggs. I don't know. So we have like half a dozen left. So I made Kaden an egg just before I jumped on the show. So I don't know, no eggs. Crimson Angel has eggs. All right. Good for you.
Well, it's because of definitely people using more eggs during this time, but also bird flu is really bad right now.
That's what I heard.
So that is definitely affecting the eggs.
College football national championship game is tonight. Okay, so Ohio State, clearly the favorite. ESPN metrics right here that we're looking at, 53% favor the Buckeyes over Notre Dame. And it looks like it's 9.5 for Ohio State. T, you think that Ohio State runs through this tonight?
I would imagine that they would.
What is our, is there another, so the main poll of the day, and we'll talk about this at the back in the show, is like, does Kalen DeBoer have what it takes? Coach Saban used to say the right stuff. Mm-hmm. Doing it. And look, 65% out of almost 200 voters feel yes. And I think what's important is this man next to Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman. And I think how Alabama fans are seeing him in his third year, what he's been able to do, I think it probably gives him a little bit of, I guess, patience in terms of waiting the course. Because when he got here, I wouldn't say he necessarily struggled, but it hasn't taken him that long. He's got these guys in the national title game. Now, on the other side, Ryan Day, I think he has to win this championship game. I mean,
keep his job, yeah.
Well, and someone said, they were like, he's if he doesn't win this game, he'll be fired. I don't think so. I mean, he got the team to the title game. I think if he would have lost in the first round of Tennessee, or if he would have lost to Texas or whatever, they would have been, could have talked about it, but nah, I think he's safe. And look, Ohio State turned out to be the team that they were built for, right? I mean, this is a team that was built to play 16, 17 games. You heard from Caleb Downs and talked about, he didn't really say that he left for the bag, but he left to be a part of this team. And here Ohio State is. I think keys to the game tonight is I think it'll be difficult for Notre Dame to match Ohio State's offensive weaponry. Plus, that defense for Ohio State is absolutely fantastic. And when I look to Alabama's team in 2025, look, if the quarterback comes along, I think the defense will be stellar, right? Think about how many guys are coming back for Alabama's defense. It's kind of the same thing for Ohio State's defense this year. A lot of guys are coming back, and those guys are playing at that level towards the back end of the year. They have dangerous wide receivers. Oh, my goodness. And Buka gets overlooked because of the young freshman. But Alabama, you could theoretically say they have, that wide receiver arsenal as well. Ohio State has two very dangerous running backs. Well, Alabama has a plethora of Alabama running backs to go through, right? With Jan Miller kind of leading the way. So it's kind of interesting, but I think Alabama could be very comparable to this Ohio State team this next year based on the components that are coming back. Mm-hmm. You spent money, however they pay these players, on your defense. You spent money to go and get a big time quarterback. You spent money to retain, Ryan Williams and figured out a way to keep Jalen Mbakwe. Whether it makes sense or not, you had to keep him. There was no way that you could afford to let Jalen Mbakwe go, right? So that'll be a popular topic, and who knows how much he'll get utilized or whatever. But the point is, Alabama spent money or figured out a way to keep their defensive players intact. And when you look at the defensive players, and we've done that plenty of times, you can go from the defensive line where you return an anchor point in Tim Keenan, James Smith. You can go to the inside linebacker room where you got Deontay Lawson to come back. Justin Jefferson can come back. You got your two starters at corner, right? Xavier Brown and Damani Jackson. You got two safeties that are starters coming back. So they spent to keep. And for those of you wanting Ryan Grubb to come in, there's no news on Ryan Grubb. You're going to more than likely have the same coaching staff. And I think what's happening is I think a lot of people are willing to give Kalen DeBoer more confidence because it's just year 2, right? Like they understand college football's changed. They understand that you're still cycling through some Saban guys. You're understanding that you're building your own culture here. So it took Marcus Freeman 3 years to get these guys the title game, taking on Ryan Day. Who knows what will happen tonight? But I would imagine, I'd be shocked if Notre Dame comes out victorious tonight. I just, I think that Ohio State is, do they win by 10 points? Probably so. But I would imagine we see a very tight game for the first half.
And Bama Champ had a good point. He said, remember that both of these fan bases wanted Ryan Day and Marcus Freeman fired. And now they're both in the championship
game. I
So.
think we get into this phase right now in the world of sports, I guess college football, because that's what we specifically cover. But, people are, they're not patient. I think we want instant results, right?
Yeah.
In every single thing that we do.
Absolutely.
If we don't get instant results, personally, job-wise, spiritually, college football-wise, we get disappointed. There's not a lot of people that stay the course. And that's just kind of the culture that we've created ourselves because of this expedited process of getting these so fast. And I think it's kind of like the technology age. Like if we don't have fast internet, we're pissed, right? I know I'm pissed. So little things like that, instead of like staying the course and playing the long game, those things add up. So you have a college football national title taking place in January 20th, which is crazy. But you have it taking place in Atlanta tonight. I would imagine that the Buckeyes come out victorious. All right. On3 put out a way too early. It's really a top 25. I put top 10 in the headline. But to see the full top 25, you can go to On3. I think it's like their lead story talking about their top 25. I found it interesting that they have Alabama ranked, 14 overall. Okay, whatever. I think that what was more interesting to me was the fact that not where they were necessarily ranked within the top 25, but the fact that they are ranked 6th in the SEC, which tells me, like, as you know, with the SEC, how many teams make the playoffs and stuff like that. Right now, these national analysts that cover and have access to, you're talking to mega stars, right? Andy Staples, are you kidding me? That guy is like, multi-million-dollar guy. These guys are saying from a national perspective that Alabama's not going to make the playoffs again in 2025, right? That's kind of the national perception right now, is that Alabama is taking a major seat back, being 6th in the SEC, and how things have completely changed without Coach Saban here, T.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the teams that are picked ahead of Alabama, you have Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, okay, Auburn, Tennessee, all ranked higher than the Tide in these preseason polls. I think what it does provide, thank goodness, because this definitely helps. I think the one thing that does help in this kind of like instant gratification is the reverse rat poison with the players. Like, yeah, pay me right now, but Coach Kalen DeBoer could be like, I'd print this out and put it right in the locker room and have everybody hit it before you go to start the fourth quarter program later this month. You see what I'm saying? It's like they don't believe you. And that's why the national perception of Alabama has completely changed. It has. It really has. And it changed because of the fact that college football changed, but it most importantly changed because of the change at the top, Coach Kalen DeBoer. But as you can see, 64% believe that Kalen DeBoer can get these guys to where they need to be. And the standard here is a national championship. Period. I think now we'll be happy to get into the playoffs, but the standards here are a national title. And it is so challenging to win a national title in these new college football settings. 1975, this is On3's way too early top 10. I don't even know who's going to be the quarterback at Oregon. I guess Ohio State would be Julian Sain. We all know Arch Manning. Drew Allard, right, for Penn State. I'm just talking like quarterbacks here. I don't know, Notre Dame. South Carolina would be good, but some of these teams, I don't know if they're going to be better than Alabama, like Florida, Auburn. I don't know. It definitely got people talking, that's for sure. And that's the whole point of these things, is to get people talking. But I wanted to kind of talk about this angle from not necessarily where they're ranked, but I think the national perception is that Alabama is taking a step backwards. Would you agree with that, T?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
and I think, and
no one saw us not making, the playoffs or just losing to that many unranked teams.
But look, if you don't make the playoffs this coming year, it gets serious. 2 years without making the playoffs in a 12-team format. And when I think about like the 12-team format, it's not really a 12-team format. It's really like the top 3 or 4 teams from the SEC. But the national perception has changed for here at Alabama. And that's fine, because the national perception doesn't lead to the playoffs and it doesn't seep into the locker room, at least not yet, or into recruiting. And from what I've seen, they're still able to do, a pretty good job with recruiting. I know they're out going for 2026 guys, and they're having a junior day up on February 1st. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to cover like recruiting right now. And I think recruiting has changed because these recruits are asking for a bag, and they commit, then they decommit, then they reopen, and they go through their top 12. And then, I mean, have you ever read a negative story about a recruit coming here and having a bad time? I've never, ever heard a prospect leaving been like, I had a terrible time, going to Chuck's and eating barbecue with the team and talking to, all the players. I mean, things are always going to be positive when you're here, and you can show them what Alabama used to be.
Yep.
But where is Alabama right now?
Because we can always say we have the most national championships.
You can say, you can say that. You can say all these first round draft picks, but I'll be like, okay, but this last year, didn't make the playoffs, didn't make the SEC title game, lost to 3 unranked teams. I don't know if this matters to recruits, but from the developmental process, how many guys are going into the NFL in the first round, second round, whatever, from Alabama? I don't know, but the national perception, I think, has changed on Alabama football, and they'll have an opportunity to change that. The schedule is tough, and it starts with Florida State in week 1, and that's it. You can't even look, past Florida State because it starts with Florida State. I mean, I think when you look to Alabama's schedule in general, it's always going to be difficult. But this Florida State game, I think, will be a good eye opener for the country in the beginning part of the year to see where Alabama is from a quarterback perspective. And I think Florida State should be the most hungry team in college football. And Florida State has an opportunity to literally jump back into relevancy by beating Alabama. If they don't, I don't know how good Florida State's going to be at all. Better than last year, they have to be. It's hard to see Florida and Auburn, though, in these rankings ahead of Alabama.
Yeah, Florida surprised me.
Yeah. And look, Billy Napier, I think he fought hard to keep his job. He had a great kind of back end turnaround on a very difficult schedule. No one had a more challenging schedule than Florida this past season. He was able to win a lot of games, more games than we thought he would.
Yeah.
Auburn, come on. I don't know. I mean, Auburn top 10.
Yeah, I don't know. But then I remember what we were saying last year, about
crazy
some of
thing-
these teams, and they definitely looked a lot better when I actually watched them play than I thought they were. So.
Like South Carolina, that was
Yeah.
one team that was way better than I
Yeah.
thought they would be. And I think with everything coming back, like that's a team that probably makes sense within the top 10. Clemson, I guess so. They have a really good quarterback coming back. And kind of those upper echelon teams, they should be there. I haven't had a chance to kind of go through Notre Dame and see where they're at. Marcus Cottrell inside the comment box brings up that Amari Niblack, he just committed to Texas A&M. Texas A&M has been getting a lot of guys. So did Ole Miss. Ole Miss just got the Penn State wide receiver. Ole Miss has so much money, but as we talk about, they're not even in the top 10 preseason rankings right here.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is neither a lot of those conference winners, that got into the playoffs this year,
like the Arizona States or the Boise States, all those teams. Yeah. Anyways, that's the way too early to see the full rankings. Go over to On3 and check out those full rankings. I saw that Crimson Angel King Mack went back to Penn State. Alabama basketball. Did you watch this game on Saturday morning? It was nice to have kind of a early Saturday basketball game to just sit. There was no like other distractions, right? There wasn't. I mean, the NFL games were later on that day, and you just kind of had the morning to sit and observe Alabama basketball playing in Rupp Arena against Kentucky. Kentucky fans, it must be interesting from their perspective to see Alabama basketball right now in a better position overall than a blue blood of college basketball. Because I think that Kentucky has always been viewed as like the pinnacle up there with like the Duke, the North Carolina. And Kentucky fans, I don't know what's going through their mind because they probably I think they tried to get Nate Oates, right? They at least reached out to him to be their basketball coach. That didn't work out for them. And Kentucky is basketball. And to see Alabama now as football and basketball, I'm sure it's tough for them leaving the stands early after Nate Oates led a quality win in Rupp Arena. Was it a statement win? I don't even think it really was, because I think people already know how good this Alabama basketball team is, which says more than that victory over Kentucky. Alabama basketball is now expected to go on the road and to win against Kentucky. That wasn't the case like 3-4 years ago. Rewind, just that, like 3 to 4 years ago, there's no way you're going to Kentucky and winning at Rupp Arena. No way. Right now, that's kind of like the expectation. Expectation is for this team to play at the highest level, and it doesn't matter where they go, honestly. Now, I kind of look to that Ole Miss loss, and I wonder if that's kind of the secret sauce to beating Alabama basketball. It's kind of slow it down to a half court. But then again, it's like if you're going to turn over the ball, 21 times like they did against the Rebels, you're going to be in trouble no matter what. Grant Nelson's overall play is fantastic. Yeah, and Max is saying Ole Miss lost on Saturday. So did Tennessee. Tennessee lost to Vanderbilt, who Alabama plays next. Look, Grant Nelson on the road. There's two games that kind of stand out for me with Grant Nelson over the last 2 seasons. The one is last year against North Carolina, where he just went absolutely crazy. And actually Saturday, pouring in 25 points and what do you have, like 13 boards or something like that? He dominated. And he's playing more physical this year than he did last year. I am so glad. Think about Grant Nelson. We were wondering if he would come back. Mark Sears, we were wondering if he comes back. Think about this team without those two. Mark Sears, I think, still averaging like 20 points per game. And the thing is, to be able to shoot the free throws the way that they did against Kentucky, what were they, 85%? They're battle tested. They played very good opponents in the beginning of the season. The SEC is absolutely crazy. They're already like in March Madness. Every single game kind of has a tournament vibe. Nate Oates, always with the plaid blazers and the drip.
I just love his expressions. He's so animated. That man is so funny.
He lost his voice like forever. He like has like chronic laryngitis.
Yeah.
He should be sponsored by like Ricola.
For sure.
Even when we talked to him, a few times. He
like whispers when he talks to you in person too.
But I think his voice is gone, right? Yeah. Sammy, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. But damn, has he really brought back Alabama basketball or kind of set a new standard for Alabama basketball?
Definitely a good coach.
It's amazing to see. And I'll always say this, and I like to like reiterate this, is when I moved here, there's never been a shortage of Alabama basketball fans. Tuscaloosa has supported, they love gymnastics, they love softball. They love basketball. They love basketball. And while Alabama's always been kind of the bus driver of everything, Alabama fans are relishing Alabama basketball and where they're at right now. I just don't want Alabama basketball fans to get so spoiled in what they're watching right now, because I don't think this has ever happened for Alabama basketball.
Not that I can remember.
Well, no, I don't. I think if you even go over like the course of time for Alabama basketball, these are the best basketball teams that there's ever been. So, we'll see what they can do. As you know, the SEC is deep, deep, deep. I mean, all these teams are absolutely talented. Whether it's, Tennessee or even Vanderbilt, who you're playing here coming up. I think Vanderbilt's 15-3 following a victory over Tennessee. And there's so much basketball left. I mean, Alabama basketball and Auburn will play, I think, on the 15th of February. So really good to see Nate Oates doing his thing. Always has that competitive spirit that we love. Alabama in the NFL. Look, didn't work out for DeMeco Ryans going against the Chiefs. Who watched these games yesterday and Saturday? Man, these Chiefs, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on my Pop-Up Sunday show. This Patty Mahomes, my goodness, man. It's like, I feel, this is how I feel. Number one, he can get it done. Like, he's a magician. The things that he did, like falling down and throwing like a dart in the end zone, money. But like, man, the NFL, they also baby him and protect him. And like some of these penalties that get called around him, it's crazy. Like we were watching, right? The two guys knock each other out from Houston, and he was the guy who slid under them. He gets they get a personal foul.
Yeah.
He was faking on the outside.
He's definitely favored.
But damn, like, it's good luck trying to beat him. I mean, they play great. And I'll say this too. While Patty Mahomes is a magician, can make things happen and all that other stuff, his offensive line is fantastic. They give him so much time. It's amazing to see the NFL offensive tackles, right? Xavier Worthy, that guy's unbelievable. He's Travis Kelce. He's been coming with it as well. And I'm glad like these whole like Taylor Swift and the Chiefs stuff has kind of died down. Remember that was like taking over the world.
Oh my God, that was all they would talk about.
And they kept on showing her like,
it was her. She was shown more than game, I feel like.
you know who I do like? Travis Kelce, whatever. I like his brother. I feel he's a good NFL analyst.
Yeah. Didn't he go through some like personal problems? Was it him or was it like Travis himself?
I don't know.
I think he had to like overcome some stuff to get back on the team. And I forget which brother, kind of whooped him into shape. But yeah, I think one of them had some personal issues in college.
I like Jay. Did they, Owen? I guess I must not have noticed Taylor. Owen's saying they're still heavy on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not watching it. But the Chiefs beat DeMeco Ryans and Houston. And then you have this game that took place last night. Down at the bottom left, you have Josh Allen beating Baltimore. Look, I felt that Derrick Henry, there was a lot of dropped passes in this game. Now, you don't see Derrick Henry catch a lot of passes, but he dropped one of those passes. He only got 16 carries, and then Baltimore is able to get down and score to put them in a position to tie, and Lamar Jackson rolls out, guy drops it in the end zone. I mean, the Bills and the Chiefs, we continue to see the Bills and the Chiefs. I mean, look, Josh Allen, it's him. These two teams they've been there for the past years. They play good offense, good defense. It's tough to play in Buffalo, as you know. But I'll tell you what, on the NFC, the quarterback battle is just as interesting as this other one between Mahomes and Allen going at it. Let's start with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, that game was in the snow, the absolute snow. But it's not so much Jalen Hurts this year. By the way, Devontae Smith is now the Philadelphia Eagles all-time leader in playoff yards. Smitty, Slim Reaper, doing his thing. But Saquon Barkley's I think I was voting for Derrick Henry to be the NFL MVP. I think I'm going with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, I mean, this guy he's having the year. I don't know what the line is between Washington and Philadelphia, but this guy up top, Jane Daniels, he's going to be the NFL Rookie of the Year. There was someone inside the comment box yesterday that commented that they knew he would be this good from watching him last year at LSU. Man, Eagles 5.5. Thank you, Travis. Jane Daniels is unbelievable, man. I love the way that he's able to sit in the pocket and you can literally see his eyes going through the progressional reads before he fires it in. Now, of course, Jane Daniels played in the best weather out of these other three quarterbacks, right? Chief said 2.5 over the Bills. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Who are we taking in the Super Bowl? I guess, is it Chiefs and Eagles?
Well, I think it's probably safe to say the Chiefs are going to make it.
Yeah, I got Chiefs, I guess. I mean, that'll be a 3-time, Eagles, Bills,
yeah,
Buffalo.
I like the Eagles.
I would like to see Buffalo, I guess, get in. I like Josh Allen. It's not that I dislike Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. Josh Allen, I don't know. He's a super talented dude. I kind of can roll with Josh Allen.
Max is taking the Bills and the Eagles.
And then I got to roll with Jalen. So I'm going for Buffalo and Philly. Where is the Super Bowl? Where's the Super Bowl this year? Kimberly's not watching the Super Bowl. All right. So meat of the show on the back end. Just want to kind of open dialogue about Alabama's football coach, Kalen DeBoer. New Orleans. All right. Damn, Big Easy, man. Big Easy had a playoff game. They're about to get. Our friends in New Orleans, are they still about to get 8 inches of snow or whatever?
I think 4 to 8 was the last I saw.
On the Gulf of America.
So stupid.
So is it supposed to still snow down there?
Let me see.
I imagine they're out of everything in New Orleans. They're not built for snow. They said it snowed just a few times in history.
Yeah, I think it's still 4 inches.
All right. So Kalen DeBoer, the poll question today, and we have 305 votes. Does Kalen DeBoer have what it takes to win a championship? And 65% of you, 66% say yes. Look, I think after the season after the dust has settled, I think what we've accepted is the fact that this was the first year under Coach Kalen DeBoer, right? Jarvis, I saw that. And you're going to have a new quarterback this year. That's so first year, accept that. New quarterback, excited about that, right? Defense coming back, really excited about that. And if you just stay in those 3 lanes, you have to be optimistic about Alabama football coming into this 2025 season. Now, the 2 points where I feel you're probably nervous about, the offensive line, specifically at right tackle, and the 2025 schedule compounded with how the process is to make the playoffs. So first year, new quarterback, all the defense coming back. Those are very positives. That's very positive for Alabama football fans. I mean, let me ask you this. How excited are you about the Alabama defense this coming season in 2025 on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean, I could just rattle off all the starters. I think there's 10 returning starters, if you want to say that. See, 9. Okay, 9.
No.
I know, it's high. The defense should be that defense. And the way that if this defense is healthy and they can continue to force the amount of turnovers that they forced last year, along with somehow figuring out a way to get a little bit more quarterback pressure. Yeah, we're happy. But Fromm, you bring up a really great point. Is the depth kind of behind those starters on each side of the ball, I think is where you're going to see the difference of the teams that can really make a run and the teams that run out of gas because they're hit with injuries or they just have less talented players on the back end, right? Okay. And let me just ask you this, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Not about like either quarterback, but just a new quarterback, just to get like a fresh start with a new quarterback. I think 10 or 11, right? Scale of 1 to 10. I think people were so ready to see a different quarterback.
A 10 for me, for sure.
100%, right? I mean, we saw how far Jalen could take the team. We saw, where he was limited, and we were ready for something different. So now we were hoping on the back end of the season that would change, that we would at least see another quarterback come in and maybe operate the offense a little bit. But now Kalen DeBoer has to have another quarterback because Moreau's gone, right? We don't know who the quarterback is going to be. We would imagine that it's going to be Ty Simpson. I think he's a heavy favorite, but we don't know until they actually start playing games who is going to be that quarterback and who can retain that position for the Crimson Tide. Eagle Vision is saying, I stay with Milroe longer than anyone should have. I was on the Milroe train for most of the season too. I think where I jumped off maybe after the Tennessee game, just because, when he targeted Ryan Williams like 23 times or whatever, I just felt that was enough. I just wanted to see a different quarterback come in just for a little bit, just to work the offense. But yeah, no, I stayed with him for a long time too, man. Look it up. I mean, I felt that he was the best player. And I think what gave me so much confidence about him was how he played against Georgia. I was always hoping that we would see that again, but we never did. Lost in Solos, what's up, man? No information on Ryan Grubb. I haven't seen anything on Ryan Grubb. Like, this guy's still going to coach, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen anything on him.
Nothing. I haven't seen anything.
I think the last thing I read on him was just an opinion piece saying that he would be a good fit as like an analyst at UCLA, not even a coach. It was weird.
Byron has last night Milroe dropped to the 3rd round. I didn't see that. Ron Self's like, nobody cares about Grubb. It's exhausting chasing something that is fake, right? Mm-hmm. And N is saying that Alabama is ranked 8 in other polls.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen two other early rankings. I don't even know where I'd rank Alabama right now. I guess
I think 14 is kind of fair, honestly.
I kind of like the lower ranking like this because I think it does provide like maybe that reverse rat poison is always so good at this point in time. Like they'll obviously be better than that, but the schedule, it makes me nervous. What is the biggest concern that you have going into 2025? Other than the offensive line, I think for me, I think the schedule.
Yeah, that chunk in the middle. That's yeah.
And the fact is, Alabama will be a good team, but unfortunately, the way that the playoffs are designed, if this team doesn't finish top 3 in the SEC, they're not going to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm offensive line. Obviously, I know you said don't say that, but that's
OC Owen saying just the offensive
and
coordinator.
Then I'm curious to see like our quarterback situation. I'm just not super confident on any of it, unfortunately, at this point. Just because I haven't really seen anybody yet enough.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people, curious about the offensive coordinator position. That's a good one. We'll dive into that. I mean, Nick Sheridan has a lot of pressure on him. And I knew that I figured there'd be a lot of pressure on Kane Womack, but he was able to kind of get things back in order, I think. And the fact that he has everyone coming back. Whereas Nick Sheridan, Alabama fans haven't been happy with the offensive coordinator for years, right? It's becoming years now. They weren't happy in 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021. That's too long. That's 4 years. The Alabama fans haven't been happy about the Alabama offense in 5 years. Think about that. Since 2020. And think about how much life has changed since that point in time. Once Sarkisian left, you could say Alabama's offense has slowly started to take, a different path, either getting better or worse. But, Nick Sheridan, I think for everybody, hoping that he leaves. I don't think he's going to. I mean, you see the recruiting pictures on X with him and Coach Kalen DeBoer. They seem to be going everywhere together, which is not surprising. I mean, he's the guy that Coach Kalen DeBoer brought in to be originally the tight end coach, and now he's the OC. And I think same thing is like you also have to remember that Nick Sheridan was handcuffed to Milroe. What do we expect him to do? Like play a different quarterback?
Yeah.
J. Cole doesn't believe in Ty Simpson. I think there's a lot of people that don't. I think it's a small percentage. I'd probably say like 30%. And the reason this isn't Ty's fault, but Ty was never put in.
Well, that's my
to
issue.
Replace Milroe.
Like if he was, everyone was so frustrated with Milroe and he was not playing well. Why didn't we put in Ty if he was better?
Nobody knows. And that question will never be answered directly.
And I'm with Sammy. We have so little views of him. Like we haven't seen him even throw a touchdown. So
yeah. And compounded onto that, the guy who's coming back, the quarterback, the incoming guy is always better than the guy that's here.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works covering Alabama football, or probably any program, right?
Yeah, he didn't have enough fire in his eyes.
That's another thing too, is he didn't have the fire in the eyes. I think that is so hilarious, that quote. That quote's never gonna leave us.
It was just so over the top.
Lawson says, who else thinks that Keelan will transfer if he doesn't start? I can't predict the future, but I would think that Keelan Russell, if he didn't start this coming year, I think that he wouldn't transfer, because next year he'll be the guy, right? 2026. 1 year goes by like that, developmental process, you let things kind of get going. I don't know. But I think like Austin Mack, Ty Simpson, Keelan, they're coming to start. I think each of those guys probably feels, I have no idea how they feel, but I would imagine that they have the mentality that it's an open quarterback position for the taking. Whoever can be most consistent and turn over the football less and make plays. Who's that going to be? Well, we're about to find out. But I think the inside track is Ty Simpson, just because he's been here for so long. But really, he's only been here 1 year under Coach Kalen DeBoer's system, right? And you're like, damn, well, if he couldn't beat out Milroe, how good is this guy? I don't know. If you don't get a right tackle, as you know, it won't matter. It doesn't matter who you have. Because if you don't have a right tackle, these guys, they'll suffer. Each of the quarterbacks will suffer if your right tackle position doesn't improve. Lawson, I would imagine that starting job is announced on that first, Saturday against Florida State. Probably before that, actually. Coach Kalen DeBoer will name a starter. He'll do that, and I think he'll have learned from Coach Saban in the past, when Coach Saban didn't name a starter, just how that can be divisive to the team. Just name your starter. This is the guy who's going to start, and that's it. And then make changes if you have to. But don't be like, I don't know, we're going to play two quarterbacks, and there's competition all going into the year. And it's like, no. Like, name your starting quarterback. Do you think there's like any outside chance to Austin Mack?
No.
I just don't want people to forget about Austin Mack.
Yeah. Well, I say no, but then again, anything can happen. I don't know.
We have Al Sanders. What did Coach Sanders say? Coach Sanders used to coach here or used to live here in Tuscaloosa. What did he say?
He's saying neither quarterback will hold up physically for the entire season if you can't stay upright.
That's what I was saying too. These quarterbacks aren't built like Milroe. Milroe was built for it. These guys aren't built like Milroe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about Kevin? Kevin, what's up, man?
He's saying,
Wade's World says, if Austin Mack wins the QB competition, Keelan, there you go. If that would be the case, then I think because Austin Mack being a younger guy, being able to beat him out, I don't think that'll happen, right? Marcus Cottrell, T.
He's saying you can't name the starting QB in this day and age. If you name a starter, the quality backup will transfer. He has to be in open competition all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, fam. Well, we have the presidential inauguration. I think it starts here in 15 minutes. It'll be on TV. You guys watch it. I appreciate you guys being here on this fine Monday. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. These are available in podcasts, right? Whether you do Apple, Spotify, I usually upload them a little bit later, but enjoy the rest of your Monday. If you're off, kick off your shoes, relax your feet, party on down. Enjoy life, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, or as news happens, right? Major news happens, we come back on, whatever. But enjoy your day. Thanks for watching today, and please hit the thumbs up on this video, and we will catch you soon right here on Bama Football on YouTube. See you, fam.